Here.
Will,
Here.
Aaron,
Here.
Shelley,
Here.
Alex,
Here.
and Logan can be with us today, and we have a quorum, so we'll proceed to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as is?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any opposed? Agenda passes unanimously. We'll look at the approval of minutes from April 10th, 2024. Give you a second to look at them. Any comments on the minutes or motion to accept?
I'll make the motion to accept.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any eject? Minutes passed unanimously. Next up, we have Jerry Little, one of our city council members, is asked to speak on the Parks and Recreation Pool renovation project. Jerry?
Hello, everybody. I've just come here to say a big thank you all to you all. I just want to thank everybody that was involved in putting the $200,000 in the pool rebuild in the 24 and 25 budget. I think the community will be real proud of you, and I just want to thank everyone that was involved, and I really, really thank y'all. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Jerry. Next on the, appreciate that. Next on the agenda is the toll building update by Brian Reed, Assistant Codes Administrator and our Project Manager on that project.
Okay, to give you a little update, the contractors most this month have been working on their own punch list of odds and ends. They've been painting and cleaning. Hadn't been a lot of trucks there, but we've had painters and cleaning people in most days. They've got almost all the door hardware installed, waiting on a few pieces and parts to come in. The plumbing final inspection has been conducted and passed. The last of the lighting that we were waiting on, some of the decorative lights have came in, and they hung them within a day or so of getting them. So the lighting, as far as I know, has all been installed. The electric final inspection has been done on everything except for the warming area. That's the area that they're still waiting on direction from us to move forward. But the electric inspector has walked through and approved everything with the exception of that. The flooring in the octagon room up on the, if you're looking at the building, the front left, that was the last of the flooring to be installed. They ran about a half box short, so they've just got 2 or 3 little pieces to put in, but the majority of that is down. We've received a estimate on a change order. Some of the items were the items that we'd previously discussed, the leaks in the gas line that we found, some other things, and a few of the items we haven't. I'll be presenting it to the City Council and the Commission soon. The total on this change order, proposed change order, will be $11,412. If y'all would like, I can give you a rundown of roughly what that's for. If not, we can present it later. It's
Roughly, you should just give us a rough.
okay. The gas line repair would be $1,000. Engineering cost was an estimate that we approved earlier the estimate come in $100 short of the actual bill, so $100 to pay for the engineering. We had some gutter repairs causing leaks around windows and doors. That was $300. Because the porch coming out of the side of the building was not the same elevation as the parking lot as it was shown on the plans, we had to add a ADA sidewalk to get people back down to grade safely. And we haven't done it yet. We have dug out for it, but we haven't done it. And then we're gonna add if this is approved, we'll add a sidewalk going to the front door to the pavilion parking lot to kind of make that more connected, since most people would be parking on that side. Those two pieces of sidewalk were $2,000. The additional decorative lighting that we had purchased was $1,593. The door hardware changing to the oil rub bronze finish we discussed last time. The total on that was $889. The cabinets in the small conference room were $1,780 over our allowance. We've proposed a storefront door to go between the large conference area and the hall so that there'll be some privacy for the large conference area, but you could still see through to see if the room was occupied instead of a solid door. That would be a $3,000 change. And then we added repainting the stalls in the existing women's restroom. They were kind of a bright pink. And that was $650. So the areas that had to be done to keep, that would have stopped progress, gas line repair, the roof leaks, all that work's been done. Everything else will be pending approval of you all and the council. Just wanted to bring y'all up to speed on what to expect. The city amended the budget for this project, so we do expect some either a new contract or change orders in the future. That will be the finishing out for the cooking equipment in the warming area. Donna has picked out all of her equipment, I believe. Is that correct, Donna? Just recently, we have a tentative floor plan, so we'll have pricing on that soon. And this is so pretty much the contractor is pretty much complete with all the original contracts, so he's working now on the things we've added since the amended budget, or will be adding. The contractor's already did his own walkthrough and is working on his punch list. The city will be walking through to make a punch list in the next week or so, probably. The contractor has submitted his final draw for the original contract. But after this draw's been paid, we've retained 10% of the total project, so we will have that retainage to ensure that all the punch list items gets completed to our satisfaction and in a timely manner. So just because it's the final draw, we do still have retention. So that's, I don't know, $59,000 or something to ensure that work gets done. Any other questions or
Their
comments?
projected finish date is when now?
He's waiting on us right now. So he's within probably 3 weeks of being done, other than the additional work we add. So outside, he hadn't backfilled one of the curbs, but he's waiting on the landscaping to get finalized. So there's some items that outside that aren't done due to some changes we're making, but he is pretty much done, other than what we add on, which would majority of that would be in the warming area. So most of what delays we have had has not been due to a problem with the contractor.
Any questions for Brian? Anybody? Well, Brian, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Very, very well done. Yes, Jerry.
If I was you all, I'd think about completing this whole thing while I'm in on it, what it needs. If it needs a little something else, looks like to me we ought to get it done during this construction process. Then that way, when you move in, everything will be good
I don't know of anything, we're leaving uncompleted, are we?
Well, is your warming station, is everything gonna be put in there? I thought
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Well, we have
What are
not,
we leaving out?
the change order was some rough in on the, warming area, but it was not equipment and all that.
But then I thought that we thought, we was gonna, if we didn't have enough money, we was gonna amend the budget.
You all amended the budget, so the funds are there, I just haven't, because we didn't have it all picked out and I don't have pricing.
But this would be the cheapest time you'll ever get it done is doing it on the first, before we get completely done.
We will have it completely finished in
Well,
one, because
so-
we talked about that, Jerry, and you are correct. We should do it and do it right the first time out. So everything that needs to be done will be done.
I'm not,
No, we amended the budget to do that with.
Mhm.
and I'm sure, well, I'm not sure of anything, but if we need to adjust it again, I would think we could do that.
And my understanding is the money is available, but I couldn't propose a change order without an exact amount.
We might be over on a line item with the original, the other money's there
Yeah.
we might have to adjust the line item a little bit.
I think we should come in on target.
Yeah, I think,
And we're requesting prices on several different items that,
Well, what's your opinion on what I just said, on finishing it all while we're?
there'll never be a cheaper time than now to do it. So anything that we know we want, in my opinion, we should get done. And we're planning to, but after the amended budget process, we started designing it. Don and I have been looking at equipment, and we've been working on the layout today, so.
But, while we're in this, while we're getting it clean, it'd be awful nice to go in there and not have a contractor back in. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even.
no, that's okay. I think,
Oh,
but I
glad.
think, we're aligned there. I think, that's what Brian's shooting for, and
Yeah, we just haven't been able to get.
we're doing that, and
He got done before we got everything.
And while he can't commit to it today because he hasn't got his pricing, it appears that it's going to be under budget or at budget.
I think there's money there for it, okay?
Yeah, I
It is.
understand.
We've budgeted.
Yeah, it's
for it.
already
It is
budgeted
there
for.
and approved.
And with the money that I talked about today in this additional change order, that'll put us about 1.5% over our original budget.
Which is pretty
About
good.
as close as you can get.
Yeah,
So everything that's being held up when you drive by is truly things the contractor's waiting on us.
yeah.
The outside's beautiful, get the
Yeah.
landscape, it'll look good. I didn't mean to step in.
No, you're just fine. Any other questions?
Well, good. Okay, thank you.
I just want to thank you for your work.
Yeah, Brian, you did an
very
excellent
hard.
job.
Well, thank you.
And this has been a thorn in our flesh for a long time on this tourism.
Well, it's been an interesting project. It's gonna run over what we had hoped, not contractually what we,
Well, you've done a wonderful job, and
Thank you.
we're just, and I'm excited. I've already called Donna. I'm wanting to rent it, and it wasn't available.
I have a list started in a file already. You're number 4, Laura.
I went on and got food tax.
Okay, moving on, we'll have the director's report by Donna Angel.
I am going to forego giving a report today so that I can take us through our budget process, because that is, it is time to go through that and have approval on that so that we can keep Susan and Rose and Bruce on target to meet their deadlines, and then presenting to the city council for readings 1 and 2 for their approval as well. So at our last work session, we went 3 hours discussing this budget, and I think we came out very good. Everybody had great ideas of what we wanted to do and how to move forward with it. So we've had just minor little changes as I met with Susan and Rose on some things that we might have been a little high on, estimating on utilities. So I've kind of reduced some of that down. But all in all, we have exactly the same budget that we discussed in our work session. If you'll look at your 8.5 by 14 sheet, the first sheet that you'll find, and I'm not going to go through every line item, but every category maybe, and give you a total and discuss anything that was changed or whatever. And Laura, you were the only one that wasn't here for all of that when we had our last meeting, so feel free to jump in and ask anything as we go along. The first page, top left, will show you that we're going to discuss the revenue. And if you'll go to the far right of your sheet, that is fiscal year 25 requested, and that is the budget. This will be the columns that we'll be presenting approval on to you, as well as moving forward with the city next. Our hotel transient room tax, we've listed at 200,000 and $1,000,003 on our restaurant tax. It's very difficult to estimate higher than what we hope based on what we discussed at our last meeting where we're a little bit short, but at that time the quarterly fundings had not come in. So we're pretty safe that these are the good, accurate numbers that we can rely on for next year and maybe more. The quarter that ends, the actual payments for the hotel tax and Airbnb tax does not come in until the next month after the quarter ends, so there's back posting to numbers that we didn't have accurate at that time. We're still down year to date where we should be on collecting restaurant tax and hotel tax, but you know, we've still got one push. Summer's here, and that's always our biggest season of the year to collect everything on. So I feel confident these are good numbers to work with. So on those two items, we'll estimate $1,000,005 of income to come in on. The next category down, if you'll just go to charges for services, the $68,000. The $65,000 covers our Learn Shop instructor fees that come in. Again, Liz and I went over that several weeks in a row. We feel that's a good estimate to count on again. So we left that at that, increased that to that number. I think last year we worked off 45,000, and this year we should total out about 63. So we're good with 65 on that piece. Moving on down to fines and forfeitures. We have from 1,000 to 4,000 increase there, penalties and interest. If someone is very late on paying their transient tax, hotel tax, or restaurant tax, there's a small penalty for that. So we count the extra that might be a fee on that. But the biggest part is the interest that we do earn on the late fees of that we calculate through the bank account as well. So we're just estimating, because you had pretty much 3,000 already in at that time, so we figure we'll total out around 4,000 on that. The grant proceeds column, We Tourism receive pretty much anywhere from $12,000 to $13,000 a year on a matching grant fund through marketing and advertising through the state. So we pretty much stay within that, so I anticipate that being the same again, since our hotels and Airbnbs and campgrounds, we're not collecting on Airbnbs like most cities are right now with what we're going through, so we're not seeing a lot coming in on that. But everything else is pretty much standard for us based off last year, because we did lose the 2 hotels. But our campgrounds, you know, have kind of helped to offset theirs, and will continue to do so in the following year. So we left the grant proceeds there at 13,000. Moving on down to investment income, that is interest on our checking account. Susan in the finance department, our finance director, has worked closely with several people on getting us a higher interest on our checking account funds and our CD, and the interest on everything has improved greatly beyond imagination. So we do expect to earn some really good money again next year on being locked in at those rates for the term that we have with them. And I believe Susan quoted that at 4.85% interest. So that is very good and helps us along that way. The next thing, at that point right there, that will equal our income that we anticipate coming in at $1,669,000 for next year. On the other column down at the bottom, you will notice transfer to and from other funds. We, in past years, this may be our third year, we have designated funds of $75,000 and $60,000 to go for trail usage. And due to the state kind of holding back and issues with that, not being able to move forward on some of the usage paths and the Scaffold Cane path, we haven't really dug into those just yet and started that. So, with those two, that's $135,000 we've approved for the last 3 years that's still in the budget that the city will transfer and use. That is not new money that's come into us. That's already in our funds that has been approved to pass through to them. And we also have the, as we go forward, we'll show it as an expense as well. But we have approved at our last meetings that we would support the Berea Parks and Rec swimming pool renovation project at $200,000 there. So that will be a direct transfer when the time comes for that. And I think the mayor said that we would start that project at our last meeting and we would complete it this year. So I don't think we'll go, it'll be in this budget, but it won't be into next year's. If you'll go to the next page, we'll start with our expenses. First thing on our list will be salaries, of course. For full-time staff, you will see that we have a $31,000 increase from the previous year, and that is because Ms. Beverly, our city manager, felt that it was a wonderful opportunity to start to do succession planning, that we put funding in there to help us have a smooth transitional period of having the opportunity to maybe hire someone in or work with someone, 2 people at one time, to be trained up before we have to lose someone in any position or whatever. So I think it's a great thing, and we all have been talking for years about having a succession plan. So I think that is an awesome thing to do. And the $7,000, that's $24,000 that's been put in the budget there for that. And the $7,000 difference would be coming from the full-time staff receiving, we hope, a 3.4% COLA raise, cost of living raise. So that would be the difference from last year to this year in the salary increase. Everything below that on pension plans, FICA, Medicare, and all of that will be based off this year's numbers, of which the HR manager presents and enters these numbers for us as well. So our payroll cost for next year would be the $639,900. Utilities are listed next. Everything on our utility side there we have increased just because we will have the toll building up and going, and we will have more expenses on everything there because it will be used, hopefully a lot. And utilities are going to go up, gas, water, electric, trash service, everything will be higher because we'll be using the building. And hopefully we'll use we do believe that the toll building along with the Ford building will really accommodate each other in a lot of flow over items. And I think with the concerts that Danny's doing, that we can find more usage and more ways to incorporate events through that area as well. So that went up $20,000, it looks like, and again, that's primarily just because we're going to be adding a lot more to the toll building that we haven't been able to do in the last few years. Materials and supplies, that's office supplies, operating supplies, janitorial supplies, uniforms, all of those are slight increases again because we're going to be having more expenses up there to cover all of the operating expenses for printers, materials, copiers, paper, all types of office supplies and cleaning supplies. We rent the building out, the conference space, of course you're going to have cleanup, so we got to have more additional funds for the cleanup part of that as well. And we do have, I'll touch base on that a little later when we get into a contract cleaning service. But the fuel, on the fuel line, you'll see that, I did increase that to 5,000. As we get farther in here, you'll notice that because of the trolley, putting that in there, if we were to order the trolley before December, we still have a 6-month build out on the trolley, so we won't really need all of the expenses for the trolley until next year. Probably, honestly, maybe February or March before we ever got the trolley back to us, you know, to use anyway. So, I don't have a full year's of gasoline fuel in there because we won't be using it for a full year, just a few months. Office furniture and equipment, that line item holds. Last year, we amended and approved that at $200,000 to furnish the, toll building completely, because it is bare naked, so it does have to have everything from podiums, speakers, tables, chairs, wall art, pedestals. I mean, we're starting from ground level to furnish the building, so we can do it with that, and hopefully we won't even need all that, but it's there should we have to have a backup on that. So that is what the 200,000 is for. Next column down will be our advertising. This will be our 3rd year of using our $300,000 line item, and I think that is quite sufficient for us, and I don't really ever see a need with the staff that we have to ever have to go over that line item. The issue of keeping at that level has been with trying to hire an agency that will look at us and even consider taking on a $225,000 account. You know, there is mostly a $400,000 line before any major marketing firm will take you on. We as individuals are not licensed, nor are we skilled to negotiate terms on buying ad space and with major companies and the legalities that go with all of that and so forth. So we've all talked about that, and that is not something we can handle. So for us to maintain our status of where we are today, keeping an ad agency is really a critical piece to us, you know, and having one that is very efficient to work and willing to work with us on quick changes that we make every week, you know. So 200 to 225 will be allotted to the Right Place Media. We, as Berea Tourism, give $10,000 for marketing ads to the Berea Craft Festival on behalf of the city of Berea. Our billboards run us $30,000 a year. We buy small promotional items. Every event we host, someone is always asking, can you create a goodie bag, a gift bag? So you have to buy items to put in these gift bags. So we too keep a small budget of $3,000 allowed for that. We leave about $10,000 or $12,000 in there for local ads. There are times that Liz will start her Learn Shop classes, and there's just newspaper ads that we want to buy. We want to do special ads for all of that, rack cards, posters, all these type of things, as long as special events come on through the year, the car show for Nancy. Everything we do has to have local marketing, posters and flyers, as well as major newspaper or magazine ads as well. So that consumes $300,000 almost, you know. So it's tight to even do that on it, but we do it, and we do it a lot because Danny and Becky are constantly pushing tourism marketing materials and getting us through that way. So I just wanted to explain that. I was asked to explain it as well as I can, so if anybody has any questions, I will answer that $300,000 question. Going to the next page. The next big line item will be your building and grounds column. To your far right, number 2 there. We have a lot financially on our plate at this time. It's gonna be a busy year, but we knew it. We talked about it for the last year and a half of what's facing us that we have to do. So we are prepared to do it, and, we'll do it, you know. The 800,000 that is being presented this year, find my column. That is building and grounds. Okay, here we go. We currently have, I just want to try to take you through that line item as well. On the 800,000 roughly, the lawn, and this is an estimate when I get down to talking about signs, okay? Because we don't have those in yet. The lawn company service, we paid $35,000 a year. The hotel down in Old Town, the exterior of the building to repair the cracks in the building walls, a good repair, not a simple repair, but to do that and to repaint that building, the last quote I asked recently, the last one we received was like 21,000, I think at the last meeting, 21 a year ago. So now we're looking closer to 30,000 on getting that fixed and painted. If you've been by lately, it's an eyesore. There's a ton of rust coming around the windows. You know, the cracks are getting a little bit wider, and the bricks where they're starting to pull apart all the way around the building. So not having anyone in there for the last almost year has really deteriorated and depreciated the building a lot. So we do need to move forward on getting the exterior of it fixed, and we also have budgeted from the last budget $5,000 to fix the flooring inside of where the florist used to be. We had a plumbing issue, underground plumbing, that we had to take care of last year. That was about $8,000, I think. But we had to cut underground through the concrete floor, go out in the street, and went out on one whole lane of the street and come back under and put new plumbing under there to take care of that. So the carpet that was in there, you know, got pretty roughed up. It was old anyways and needed to be replaced. But anyway, when they put it back together, the seams have just kind of pulled it apart, and it's just has to be done. On the right side of the building is vinyl flooring, which we did on the jewelry shop over there, and it looks beautiful. So we're doing the same thing over on the other side, just put the vinyl flooring in over there. The train platform, the back of that has to be paid attention to. The cracks are getting wider there as well, and it has to be, we can't really commit to doing events out there all the time like we've been doing because of the cracks that are continuing to spread. So we do want to take care of that. One person that quoted, we think we can get the composite tiles that interlock, long lifespan on those, but there's something that would be built on top of the concrete. The concrete, of course, would be filled in the spots and so forth. But it's a long-term, a good material, and we're looking at around 30,000 to replace that whole back platform back there. So it's not anything we can look forward to anymore. We have two really bad spots on the roof. The ceramic Hispanic tiles that are up there are super expensive. We have tried, Public Works has tried to work with us in the past on patching some of them to keep the rain from coming through, but is now affecting the wood slats underneath there, so it is getting bigger and bigger. So we do have to either patch some of that again, or we need to really get a strong estimate on fixing the back part of the tiles and the shingles that are broken back there. So that could be anywhere, quoted anywhere from 10,000 to 30,000, depending on what we choose to fix on that piece of that. Those are just the maintenance pieces right now. Nancy's worked greatly with me on giving me all of our property things that she feels that have to be addressed in the next coming year. We know we have long-term things that we want to do, but are they necessities? No, not at this time. The next thing down through there that is included in your $800,000 is that we do have, as we talked about 3 years ago, when we voted to move forward with creating a new sign package and a new color story, and I don't know, Laura, if you've got to see it yet or not, but the banners down in Old Town on our street lights are up and quite attractive, and we did have 2 comments from the State Department last week that it was down here looking at some of the stuff. So he and she were very complimentary on the color program, and they have no problems with that. So we do have 2 sign companies that will be coming hopefully to do site visits with all of the existing burgundy and yellow tourism related wayfinding signs. So those are the first project that we want to continue to finish the color package out with in our city here, so that we can tie our brand back into all of that. And then we do have some signs, highway signs, that we thought were the state's property signs, but they assure us that it is ours. So again, that could be, I've estimated maybe 90,000 on that if we choose to replace them. There is a lot that they feel that we're redundant on repeating, because you can go 50 feet up the street and you say the same directions again. So some of those, he's absolutely right, we don't need to replace those. And anything that isn't really necessary to replace, we can still add to the existing new signs that we're going to be doing. And what we have a current sign company I'm working with for the Berea Gallery and Event Center for the new ground sign up there. And I did ask him to send someone down to look at Old Town at the sign there. And one of the comments that he commented, which I had not thought of, the existing signs in town, some of these are 4x8, 4x10, and 4x12. So they are well-built signs. He says the structure on them are magnificent, that whoever built them originally 14 years ago, Susan and I looked it up, so they are 14 years old, but they're still in outstanding shape and condition. So other than taking off the peeled and cracked copy and putting on our new copy, is where he made the comments. These are going to have to be redesigned on site, because they're going to have to come there with their equipment, their ladders, their trucks, and remove, scrape, clean off all of the sign text on site for the bigger signs that we have. So the labor cost on that may be something we hadn't thought about either, or it may not be, I don't know. The one thing he did point out, that most of it is vinyl screen printing in layers of 2-foot sections. So those are a normal size that any sign company can print and apply on site without it being major issues on that piece. It's just going to be the prep work that's going to go into the big signs that's going to be more entailed than we thought about in the past. So we're only estimating $800,000 for all of that together. We hope it's not that, but I feel like we'll in time we will have probably all of that invested for all of these projects that will get started. And a lot of it, we're going to take care of the necessities first, of course, with getting the hotels and the leaky roofs and all of that up and going, so that we can put more into that. Moving on down, if you have any questions on that package, did I skip anything? Okay. Going on down to the vehicle repair and maintenance line, $10,000 on your far right there. That was already left in from last year and approved, and we really won't use that because we won't have that much involved, not knowing when we're going to get the trolley delivered or whatever. But it is there should we need it, or need it for something that's not going to be with the trolley that we wanted to do with it as well. The next thing down that we added this year and increased at the very bottom, under your total services and support, we built 10,000 in. We usually keep 4,000 to 2,000 in our transportation bus line. We have conferences that come here that we do want to lure back, and we want to use and accommodate these conferences as much as we possibly can, but they need bus service when they're here. When we're doing all of these festivals in town, that's the first thing someone wants is transportation. How can you get us around and so forth? And we recently just rented a bus that we had to use for a conference that was here for 3 days. So we've taken that to $10,000 from $2,000 for next year, should we need it to accommodate people for the bus transportation as well. We already know through the MCIC, or the Japanese Sister City program, that they will be here twice this year, so we know we always have to accommodate the bus area in that way. So the 10,000 is built in to support those things right there. Go halfway down, the others are just normal things, no changes there. Go on down to your special programs column. Halfway down, you'll see the number $157,632. Special programs are things that we are committed to as tourism to be able to sponsor to help pull thousands of tourists into our city. As Spoonbread does their festival, they pull thousands of people here. As Danny does the craft festival, she'll pull 8,000 people here. So those are things, the schools that put on events that pull 2,000 and 3,000 people in here, the Kentucky Guild. All of these things are critical that we show our support, because our jobs are to find ways to bring tourists to town, to spend money in our town. So those are areas that we do spend money in. The biggest majority of that is $125,000 of that are funds from our ARPA funds that we received a year ago. We received $142,000, and we still have remaining $125,000 of that. So out of that 157, 125 is ARPA funds. So after that's gone, we're good to December, then that money is not there anymore. So the special programs, we probably have maybe 10 or 20,000 a year that we want to support in that way. The next line under the 125,000 ARPA line is when we receive a grant, no matter if it's federal, state, or whatever, we have a match to that, anywhere from 10% to 100% match. So on that ARPA funding, we of course had to match that 14,000 plus, because we received the 142. So no big panic on that. We're not giving out 157,000 on all of that, but that's pretty much all the changes on down through on that page. Next column at the top will be our grant awards. We did last year 5,000. This is our reimbursable marketing funding program. When an event in town that is tourist driven can submit to us paid receipts of what they put into their event, tourism has the right to listen and hear their request and offer them up to a 50% match of what is turned in, or a maximum, as we voted last year, of $1,000 to go back out to that event in paid receipts. So we had done 5 last year, and I think we voted last year that we would move that to 10,000 and try to get 10 good events in town that we could sponsor this year. Our beautification program went up. We had several requests last year, and probably the year before as well, that the residents wanted more hanging baskets of flowers during the summer, more concrete pots, and everybody knows our wooden pots or wooden flower beds have served their duty beautifully. We've restained them, and they look beautiful right now, and thanks to Ted and Stan, they've done a fabulous job in tourism getting those ready for us. We are going to start with them this year. because of the time to produce what we want to do on that. We talked about in our last meeting of doing the concrete pots for long-term sustainability. In checking with, I did find someone that does the baskets. You can do the 36-inch basket, the coconut basket they're called. You do have to furnish the brackets and the hanging materials for the poles, wooden poles or whatever you're going to be mounting them to. And then you do have to have a service that would be like a lawn service or some kind of service. The towns I've called around, nobody does their own. Danville was about the closest one that could give me a real name to contact for a company that has bucket trucks that they water street municipality florals and so forth. So this year we had not put that kind of money in there to do something like that. The coconut baskets the baskets themselves were running $325 with the brackets to install them a piece with. The concrete pots were $120 each. And then I couldn't get anybody in time to give us a bid on what the service would be for the city to water the plants on the street. I think they're beautiful. I love it when I drive through a town and you see all the consistent same baskets and colors. They're quite attractive. And that is something that we can do partial of next year in the 25-26 budget, where we can order at this time. It takes time to order all these, to have these produced. So nothing, I've only budgeted an extra $10,000 in this year's budget to do anything additional because we were kind of counting on maybe $10,000 to furnish all of our concrete pots with and so forth. So those are things that once I hear what someone's service would be for watering those flowers every morning during, I think they start in May through, they stop watering in September. And what we try to purchase and buy on the flowers that we put out, they're always beautiful, but what we select are long-term blooming flowers that we have color on the streets all the way through October. Because when we switch out in October, we switch out and go to Christmas. So the Christmas banners go up and offset the flower baskets on the ground and so forth. So that part is right now, we don't have the funding, but if we decide which way we want to go on that, once I get the bid back from the watering service, then we can decide what you want to do, and we'll vote on that in the next month's meeting, you know. But we can order those, and for now, we'll carry on this summer with what we have, and they look great. Next thing on the budget, going down, Mr. Little, go halfway down and you'll find the $100,000 line item there. And that is where we did amend the budget in our last meetings. I guess maybe December might have been the last time we amended that we agreed that we would go ahead and prep the toll building, doing the complete warming area and getting all the equipment in, a new ceiling, the flooring looks great. We put the vinyl flooring in there as well, and Brian has been working with me on some of the items to fill in the warming area station with the measurements that the contractor needs to be able to determine the voltage and different things where and how much that he would need to include on all of that as well. And we did put a new ceiling in the Learn Shop Space classroom for privacy, because everything was echoing back in the other room. So we wanted to be able, if you rent the classroom over there, that you got complete privacy and so forth to handle that. We may or may not use the $100,000, but to Mr. Little's point, that has been amended and approved for that when we go that route. Next one down, you'll find 210 for the trolley, $210,000. Again, the trolley is there. That's whenever we decide that you would like to move forward with that. You know, it's not written in stone. You have to do it tomorrow. If it comes in December or it comes in January, the funding is there for that. I do want us to just remember that we pay a lot of expenses on keeping up the maintenance of the trolley once we agree to do this. I love the trolley idea and I'm all for it, but I just don't want anybody to come back and say, you didn't say. But we do have a lot of maintenance to keep up on that trolley, and gasoline, and hiring two employees to drive that, and the benefits that would go with them and so forth. So, it's in here. If you approve it and the council members approve it, it's up to whenever we want to order the trolley and take it on. And then we would build all the major expenses that would come with that once we know, what we're gonna be looking at on insurance cost and other things, you know, for employees and so forth. But we do have, on the employee side, we do have 2 current vacancy spots that, we don't need them because we don't have a trolley right now for that position. But we do have vacancies open, that we could hire, say February, for trolley drivers and so forth. And we've talked about doing just maybe seasonal trolley drivers. January, February, March, we're pretty dead. Snow, bad weather, so the farmer's market is not out in that. They're closed in somewhere. And that's our biggest concern is, you know, providing ways for people in town to be able to still get to the farmer's market where they are. But there's lots of options that we can look at for using trolley drivers, whether it be seasonal, part-time, or full-time, you know. So, but that has been approved by you guys in the past. It has not been approved for the $210,000. That was rejected by city council at one of the last meetings. So it will go before them after all of this will go before, city manager, Rose Beverly, and the mayor, at the next, once they do their part, and then they schedule a work session with audit and finance. And then it would go to city council for their approval. So we have a million steps to go through to process an approval of the budget. But that's kind of how that will work. So let's see, $5,000 is a new line item that I've added for outdoor furniture and fixtures. As you know, after passing by the Toll or the Berea Gallery and Event Center, we have a new side porch that's been built with a small roof. So we will be adding some nice patio tables and umbrellas there, because as the concerts go on, everybody seeks shade. So we want to put, you know, a couple of tables, nice tables and umbrellas there, along with over beside the the Ford gathering space, the building there in the lawn area, to have more shaded and more seating available there, plus adding 2 more down on the cabin lawn. We have 2, and they are constantly full, where people are starting to gather there on the lawn and have Apollo's Pizza or Becky's or Bert's sandwich shop. So they're bringing and eating more out on the streets down through there as well. So it's very good to see. So we have only 2, but that's not enough for that grassy lawn area. And we want to make that a nice gathering hub for anybody feels free to come there and sit down and eat and just enjoy the space itself. So that is the explanation on the 5,000 there. And I think that's everything that is out of the norm. So, is there anything that I have not covered that you might have a question?
I just had a question on, I made a note, now I gotta find it. Could we consider like hiring our own staff to water those flowers and mow the yard? Is that something?
It takes
that-
someone with a bucket truck to lift to the poles, to the top of the poles to water, with sprayers and the tanks on the back to reach the flower pots up above. Right now, our employees, tourism, part-time staff members, carry a little cart up and down the street watering flowers.
Yeah,
which
what
is
about, I
too
mean, like a
much.
golf cart, you couldn't put water on the back of one of
We
those?
can on anything right now that's on the ground, yes.
And then that wand, I mean, looks like there'd be another way besides, I
Pretty
see them
high
in
up
Richmond
there.
and other towns, and I don't see bucket trucks watering them.
City of Richmond, their public works department waters every morning, their street department
And they
waters
use a
them.
bucket truck?
Mm-hmm. They have a big tank on it, big water, like a yard water tank thing, you know. And I don't think we, you know, Mr. Curtis in Public Works and I have talked about that several times, and we do not have the manpower through Public Works to be able to have a team off work every morning for 6 or 7 months watering flowers, you know.
Well, that's why I was thinking if we could do it in like a gardening with, you know, and they mow and they do, I mean, how many staff mow when they mow, when the people come in to mow?
1 or 2.
Just 1 or 2. That's what I was thinking. If we could hire 1 or 2, and that could be a multi-job, I mean, that would be a nice job for 2 people in the city too. That's just a thought.
Our lawn service is not with the city. That's an outside company that comes in and mows. That's something I don't mind asking if that's a service they offer and what their cost would be.
Well, I was thinking too, how often do they mow that
What-
service?
What property are they mowing?
The lawn service takes care of the toll building, the Ford building, all the way around down over Mount Vernon Road. The embankment there, you know, is pretty steep, and they do push mow and drive mow, you know, both, but that side of the road is really steep, so they take care of all of that, plus watering the bush. I don't think they water, but the landscaping, they initially put the landscaping in. And then the third building that they cover for us is the cabin lawn down in Old Town.
And how come we don't use Public Works?
We do not have staffing for them to do that.
That's specific to the city.
Yes.
Have we ever asked our lawn care service if that's something that, I mean,
No.
they have bucket trucks and.
No, because this is the first year that I've even had anything to discuss with getting a price
See, that
on
might be
hanging
something we could
baskets and
ask
so
them.
forth.
Would they have the staff or want that?
The equipment
bid
to
that
do it with,
contract too.
you know.
What area are you talking about hanging the hanging baskets if we were to have them?
They would have to be all the way up Broadway, Adams. We have some over on Adams Street, and then up Chestnut. We don't have a lot on Chestnut Street because we don't have any of the really pretty pole lights that we have down on Broadway. But we have moved flower pots up, the wooden boxes on Chestnut Street to add more color as well for that. So we can't pretty much go any farther than right here because the college property starts on up the street. And we do have brown electric poles all over the place, you know, that we would have to get special. We could hang them on that because those are ours. Most of them on Chestnut Street, you know, up and down through here. So we could hang them on that. We would just have custom brackets made to fit around the poles versus the little street lights and so forth, you know. Old Town has the black, you know, the pole lights with the pretty bulbs at the top and things like that. We don't have those on Chestnut Street. All we have are the brown electric poles out here, you know.
I would suspect that you could put Cricketech water systems on them and not have to have a bucket truck to water them. But you could run some lines up, self-draining lines, and
Well, that's what I'm waiting to get a bid
I
on, is
think-
who could
I
do
think you
that.
do.
A service that would do that
it
for
certainly be
us, you know.
cost economical compared to running a bucket truck, you know, if we could do that. If somebody decided to do them. Now, the concrete pots, have we already ordered some?
No.
No. They're in this budget, but we haven't ordered any.
Right.
And the
That's
lead
what I'm
time-
saying. Whatever you
and the lead
decide you
time
wanna
on
do for
them-
next year, I will order this year for next year.
And the lead time on them is several months.
Yes, it was. Cause they're throwing the concrete and doing it themselves, you know, so. The, one of the things that, the vendor said on the coconut baskets is all baskets inside have a plastic liner around the baskets. And then you put a plastic tray inside that plastic liner for retention of the water and so forth. And that the liners must be replaced every 3 years so that it doesn't leak out onto the coconut baskets if you don't do that. So I asked him to include that in the liner price of the baskets, you know, to give me a full cost on the trays that fit the baskets, the liner baskets themselves, and then the actual baskets, the bracket, the hanging posts for them and the pole brackets and the fasteners that have to go with all of that, so,
Any more questions or comments, from anybody?
One more question about that trolley.
Okay,
We
go back
beat
to
this
the
trolley to death.
that's okay, Miss Laura.
I know. I'm gonna, I guess I wanna know, do I give up the dream? Is it something, I mean, cause majority rules, and if everybody sees it better, but I thought that the trolley, I know we were buying used. Is that what they still want to do, is buy
No,
used? Cause
no.
we had kinda voted as a group, which most of the group's gone now, that we were going to buy brand new instead of
That's our
used.
210.
So,
We are buying new.
The market changed
a
on us
custom-
and went up on the cost while
those
we,
the eggs and
well, we talked for, when we talked for 3 years, the
150
cost
was
of, the cost of
used.
eggs went up.
Yeah,
We talked
eggs,
about,
it's all gone up.
we talked about for 3
And
years.
it ain't ever gonna come down, I don't,
Yeah,
I've
I've
It's
never
never,
seen it
it's
come
never
down.
coming down, and it's intrinsic cost. It's very hard to identify the return, which I think would be pretty great, but it's a very hard thing to measure. And the trolley, not to correct you, Don, but the trolley was approved by city council. They didn't, they line item vetoed
They approved the 150,000.
50. They line item,
original
yeah, which
last
I'm not even sure how you do that, but they line item vetoed the additional cost of the change order, so, which is confusing to me. But anyway, that's
So answer my question, are we still doing this 210?
what she's asking. Do you still want
I
to do it
want
or
to.
not? There you go.
I want to do
So when it comes
I
there,
think
you
we all
vote for it.
talked
So
about it, so.
that-
What do
that's
you,
the
I mean,
question.
but you all met, I've been kinda out of commission here a little bit, and I apologize. But is that something that,
To me, just talking about this, can I talk about it globally for a second? So there's big items in here. There's the trolley, there's the signage, which really truthfully I choke on a lot, that signage, that number, and there's the money we're spending on the furniture and the stuff for the toll building, and then we've committed this $200,000 for the pool support. This is all happening to us at once, all right? And some of them we don't know, like the true cost of signage, and we don't know the true cost of furnishing out the toll building yet, you know? And to me, to see where that lands, has a lot to do. I support the trolley, as you know, I always have. 'Cause I think it adds a lot to the, value of life for the city, which is what we're here for, for local residents and for tourists both. And so the only question me lies, the trolley comes back to your point, is this gonna cost more? But do we do it this year or next year? I mean, I'd be for it, but because we're eating this pool and we have this huge signage cost and we have this huge other cost, I might, if it was just me and my money, it's not, I might put it off to next year. That being said, if we see what the signage comes in at, and we can pull $50,000 out of the toll building furniture and things, and a couple $100,000 out of the signage, then, we're
More balanced.
then we're gonna go up
I
another
feel a lot better
50,000.
about it, but we don't have the information. We're proving a budget now, if not the information to do that. So how I would do it is I would sort of approve the budget as is, but, with some kind of, follow-up work session or something to determine for sure what we're gonna do about those signs. And once we get more information on them, and remember, we do all those signs, like, Alex is talking, this year or over 2 years. We gotta know what we're talking about, and we just don't have enough information, and we don't have time to get it because the budget is upon us, and we've gotta decide what we're gonna do. So this is sort of like a worst-case budget, and it's made worse by the request from the city to help them on the pool.
but the pool is a need. I think y'all made a really good decision.
Yeah, I'm not
Swimming pool is an
saying, that's why we
absolute
did
need
it.
for the
I mean, I
community.
think that's why everybody was supported, we did it, but it came on us.
And I'm not sure the signs, $90,000, we have bought so many signs in the last 3 years. I mean, it's all we've done is buy signs, and so how many more do we need?
Well, we're not, just not adding signs, this is patching signs.
Patching signs. Yeah, and if you don't patch them, do we lose our spot?
Well, yeah, probably, and so the state's gonna make you move them, And some of them, you know, to the point that you wasn't here, we said some we need to lose. We're fine with losing them. And we'd like to lose as many as we can that don't serve a useful function. And again, we don't know that number yet. To see how, and that leaves us less signs to redo. So we don't know the sign cost yet. And we don't know the furniture cost yet. And there's $1 million right there we're talking about between those two. You know, and it is feasible to me if we are very cognizant about the cost and everybody tries to squeeze a nickel, we might be able to get, 20% of that out of there, those two items. And that gives us basically the cost of the trolley. But it's not being presented that way and can't really be presented that way.
Well, that gives me clarity. I
Yeah.
was just a little bit confused. And I
And too,
wanted
Laura,
clarity on it.
if you, the trolley is there and you have until the end of the year, the price won't change till then. So if you decide that it's not something, or it doesn't go through, council, as an approval, then it's not that we're spending the money or we're gonna use it.
Absolutely.
but
We have to
we
be
love
good
the trolley
stewards and look
idea.
at the needs instead of the
It's
wants.
not our
I
money, it's
understand
the
that.
Well, if I understand it right, the budget goes through council or don't go through council, and the budget comes back, not the trolley line item.
Say that again, please.
The budget's presented to city council and they approve or not approve the budget. Right?
They approve our budget.
Right, but not the line
They
item.
they do not change our line items.
So we're not gonna come back with this without the trolley in it. They might come back and this, your budget's not approved. You know, so that's
I
where
don't
we're
think
at.
that they would do anything like that. We've tried to do a really good, logical budget. It is just, as Bill said, there's a lot that hit us this year. We knew it was coming. We've talked about it for 2 years. It's not a surprise. You know, we knew these signs the burgundy and yellow have to go. And we've been doing little things all along the way. And we've saved our money. We've kept it. We've got the money to
Yeah.
pay for everything. With everything we anticipate coming in next year, with what we have in the bank account now, it will be a flush. We will have enough and be okay. If for some god-awful reason, you know, the world come to an end, then it would be different. But even with our budget and our expenses being upside down this time around, that's not out of the norm because our bank account can cover our expenses alone right now, if that came to that.
And we've,
So-
we've put some of this stuff off, expecting to spend it.
Yeah,
Inflation's hurt us, like you said, and then we didn't put off the pool because we weren't expecting to spend that. And so now you're sort of this place that we haven't been the last couple of years. I've had calls while we're not spending more of our money, which is just,
they just didn't know what's on our
which
plate
they don't
that we're
understand. It's like,
holding
it's not hard for me
everything
to
for.
fathom, why aren't y'all, and I'm like, you'd want us to be frugal with your money, So we've been through that money and put that money back for certain things. And now it's came time to spend those things, but unfortunately, they cost 15% more than what we thought.
Each year that we
Each
don't
year.
do something, it just
Yeah,
builds.
and it's,
The hotel
and then-
building is a perfect example. We started out at 1 year and it was 12,000 to get it repainted and redone, and now we're looking at 3 years down the road, we're 30,000, so, that's why some of these priority things I called off in order are things we're gonna attack first. There are properties that we've invested in and we need to keep them up, regardless.
If we don't take care of them, this
Yes,
is what
ma'am.
happens.
We do. Mr. Chair, then I will ask that you ask for a motion and approval on the budget and any discussion.
Any more
so
discussion?
That goes in our meeting minutes.
Let's start there. Is there any more discussion or questions or statements?
I'm going to go back to Laura's question on the trolley just for a second. I agree with everything Bill said. In some past conversation, Will had added some, I thought, important information about the trolley that kind of helped us. And I think if you heard that, there were some details that Will had about the trolley and some changes that were going to happen in the next couple of years. Am I correct or incorrect there?
That's correct. With the talk of like 2027, a lot of emission changes and stuff, don't really know how it's going to affect. And look, with inflation, going up, the cost with all commercial vehicles and stuff going up like that, we can expect that cost will go up quite a bit over the next, like if we put it into the next budget. And, you know, we talked about, you know, the need in the community and everything that, and, you know, I thought Bill brought up a very good point. You know, it's kind of the worst case scenario here, because I feel like there's quite a bit of room on the signage, and hopefully that'll come in quite a bit lower on that, and we may have to kind of reevaluate that. And even in the workshop, we actually cut a little bit from that
We did.
to help with
Oh,
the pool.
that's right.
And Donna's already
Yeah.
took some steps and took some signs up. You know, or had the state take some of their signs up, so she's already willing on the ones that don't have questions, you know, that ones definitely need to go.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of it, we don't have to spend
Right.
money on it.
We're still working on that piece.
So we're
to get
still working
those,
on that,
right.
but I think that, and even the toll building, you know, we might try to go, 80% of what we plan there.
Yeah.
And everything's got hurt a little bit to get to where you want to be, but I think we could have the trolley. And to Will's point, if people don't understand it, he's saying that because of government requirements, that he expects that trolley costs are gonna go up more than inflation, just because the design requirement changes. Is that right, Will?
Yes,
And so we can expect inflation plus these new requirements,
New engine cost
new
goes
engine
up
costs
every
and
year.
stuff, and
Yep.
it's gonna be quite a bit higher to.
Is that because it's gonna be a gas?
I
or
was
you
gonna say,
want-
is it gas, diesel, or is it electric, hybrid?
That's what it's been a little bit since we looked at it. Was this one gasoline or gasoline? It may not affect the gasoline as much, but as we can figure, I know it's affecting the diesel side. So if that side goes up, I think we can kind of
You can expect
all,
the other go up
all
too.
emissions,
To
because
go up.
I agree with what you're saying, but considering every board I've ever sat on like this, we're in gridlock, and it takes us, if we wanna do anything, whether it's a basket hanging from a pole or a trolley, or look how long it's taken us to do the toll building, our government will be in gridlock probably on that too.
So, all right, anything else? Well, do we have a motion to approve or not approve this budget as it is?
I'm gonna make the motion to approve it, how about that?
So we got a motion to approve. Second?
second,
And we have a second. Do we have any opposed, at least vehemently, to it? All right, the budget passes unanimously.
Roll call, please.
You want a roll call? She's
Yes.
calling for a roll call. All right, Laura,
Yes.
Will.
yes.
Aaron,
Aaron. Shelley.
Yes.
yes.
Alex.
Yeah.
My own name's Bill today, so Bill, I vote to approve it too.
Very good. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate all that you do for tourism. Can't thank you enough, and the team as well, because it takes, the old saying, it takes a village to keep a village strong and healthy and happy. So you're all appreciated. Budgets are never easy to compromise or to be able to make everybody happy on. So it's a good budget. We'll work through it, and thank you very much.
All right, so our next thing on the item is 8 leadership reports, and we'll start with the operations manager, Nancy Conley. So I got your name because it's wrote down here.
Thank you.
I just had 5 hours sleep in 2 days, so I am sort of giggy.
Thank you. Well, the budget's really exciting. I'm excited to be a part of this department, and thank you all for your continued support and all the work everybody does putting that together. In April, our visitor count at our Welcome Center was 1,669. When we look at the year for visitor count numbers, we're doing really well with that. We're over the year before COVID started. So for the year, so that's what I always look at as a measurable, is the year before COVID, or those years before the pandemic. So we're doing really good when we look at that. As Donna had mentioned, we've worked on a few beautification projects. I'm excited to see that beautification budget and some of those much needed replacements of the flower baskets. But we have installed some new flower baskets on the bike planters. Last year they may have been a little smaller, so we're prepared for you all that have adopted those bike planters. That installation has been completed, and we are still hoping to get some flowers planted tomorrow. We're hoping that weather is on our side, so that's our plan. But a lot of the wood planters, we have got all of those completed, completely stained now. And we've also stained our front door to the Welcome Center, so we're excited about these new bright looks that we've got going on. Everything's looking really clean down there. It really brightened things up just to have that new fresh stain applied to some of the items. So we are excited about planting all those flowers tomorrow, and so our plaques will go out on the bicycle planters here really soon for all the folks that have adopted those, and we have some certificates for all of those that have been adopted out that will pass out as well. So working with our part-time team and myself, I'm excited to see all the support that they were able to help and provide to different areas and different managers. So looking at the Learn Shop program, media and group tours, really pleased and excited to see all of the help that and all the collaboration that everybody was able to do over the last month. It was a big month for a lot of programs and events and motor coach groups and Learn Shops, and so it was just exciting to see all of that collaboration. Looking at the maintenance area, we had a couple things that we fixed this last month. So we did have a dripping water faucet that, so we should expect to see some lower utilities maybe. But we did have an air conditioner that had went out, so we had to have some work done on that. All of that has been completed. Speaking of some of our part-time team members, Teb and Robert, they continue to provide photography service and videography for a lot of the local events and conferences. You all might see them out and about doing photography and videography for a lot of different events, and they love to do that, and a lot of times they do that just in their own time and their free will. But one of the major groups that they photographed this last month was the Cumberland Seed Commons group. But that was just one example of some of the groups that they've worked with coming in. The wood carvers are back at the Berea Welcome Center. So, it's spring and summer's right there, and when you got your wood carvers back. So they meet at the Welcome Center every Wednesday from 10 till 12. They do go into the library during the winter months, so they can stay warm in there. But so we're excited to welcome them back, and anyone that's interested in wood carving, they're welcome to join the group. It's just an open group of wood carvers. They just have a lot of fun carving there at the Welcome Center each Wednesday. And so come out and meet them if you're interested, or if you know folks that like to carve, send them down on Wednesdays. It's a fun time. Jamming on the Porch, as you know, it's from 7 to 9 each Thursday. Tomorrow is the last Thursday that it will be at the Folk Center this month. All of the other dates in May, it will be located at the Intergenerational Center, which is right behind the Russell Acton Folk Center. This last Friday, we were really excited that we got to work with other city departments and Nicole Ingold on a special needs gala. And our department was able to, our part-time department area and myself, we were able to provide a photo booth and photography services for the event. So that was a lot of fun. If you haven't seen any of those pictures, just look out for them because they're wonderful. A couple of our commissioners joined us for that, and that was wonderful as well. Thank you. June 15th, L&N Day. We are still accepting vendor applications for that, and I've got a call out for a volunteer. So if anybody's available June 15th, if you've got a golf cart you might want to drive to transport folks around from parking lots, or anyone that has, some extra time that day, we'd love to have some help, whether it be helping set up tables and chairs for vendors or working a kids activity booth. You name it, I am sure that we have a position perfect for you. So, and I see here that I skipped over one item earlier on my report. It's actually really exciting. So as Emily works through all these group tours, some of them are familiar faces, and so we had one, it was AFC group, and I worked with this gentleman last year, and he bought a dulcimer off one of our local luthiers. So Donna and Lewis Lamb, they provide music services sometimes for motor coach groups, and they performed for this group last year, and this gentleman ordered a dulcimer. So they package it and ship it out to California. Upon his return visit this year, he has now ordered a mandolin, but asked that it not be shipped in so much packaging because it took him and his wife over an hour to get it unpacked. But anyway, that just kind of shows you the domino effect, and that kind of effect that when you bring in, this was a tour guide on a group that, had came from out of California, and just hearing these musicians play and seeing these instruments and the instruments that this woman and her father have made, you know, that sold him on wanting one of his own, and now a second instrument this year that he's ordered. So just lots of good stories like that we hear all the time, but I forget to share those. So that's all that I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our program manager, Liz Todd, and while Liz is getting ready, I'd like to put in a gig for the Special Needs Gala. If you haven't seen that or been to that, you really missed a opportunity. It's really something special to that our community does, and we should be quite proud of that. Liz?
I agree, Bill. Hi, I'm Liz Todd. I'm the program manager. So I have just some fun updates today, and talking about getting into the Berea Gallery and event space. I can't wait to see the finished project and start utilizing that beautiful space. I'm very excited. Kind of some of the things that we've been working on, of course, we are still partnering with KEDC and Learn Shops with them. That will wrap on May the 18th. April the 13th, we did a second part of our Ashland Henry Clay Estate duo tour that they developed just for us. The first part was hosted actually at Honeysuckle, where they also did the Churchill Weavers tour, and that was back in January. So we are really excited to continue to partner with them. Whenever we were there the 13th, we did a 2-part tour. I think we had over 110 people that came, and the second part was actually at the Lexington Cemetery with Transylvania University, helped us with that one. So it was really nice to really lean into our regional tourism and things that we've been working on to kind of expand as people come here, and then we are also expanding to regional tourism as well. I did mention May the 18th. That will be very exciting. That will be their final event with us. We're calling it a culmination event, and they are getting soaps from Aroma. Tabitha has made these unique, beautiful, same color green as our new logo, along with Wild Prima Yoga has 2 instructors here locally that are teaching for us for 2 hours. And then they're also going to do a nature hike and plant ID. So it should just be a wonderful day for our Kentucky educators. We're really excited for that. The biggest thing I want to talk to you about is the second session of my Enchanted Learn Shops for spring, and we titled those A Season of Discovery. We ended up with 16 unique class offerings, each one offering multiple sessions. We had 6 individual class spaces around town, which included the Berea Welcome Center platform, our gathering space behind the Chestnut Street Pavilion, which is, I have to say, just perfect for classroom space because it's that painted concrete floor and you can just wipe it and mop it and you're good to go. So I'm loving that space for classes right now. So thanks for that. Whoever's responsible, thank you. Donna, probably. And then we also used the Senior Center, also known as the Intergenerational Building. 2 classrooms at the Kentucky Artisan Center, and then we also were able to utilize a classroom at Berea College. So we literally had people all across town for that 3-day weekend of classes. With this session, we also had 2 new artists, Terry Beard and Dr. Jen Elam. We had 6 brand new classes, which I won't list them all out because they have really long names, but they were very popular. We saw the main thing that we saw the biggest interest in was more traditional craft. And again, it's always fluctuating, the trend, but right now, the biggest classes that we had signups for based on sales, ticket sales, were weaving and personalizing a grapevine wreath, introduction to broom making and beyond, which was weaving in traditional craft a cobwebber broom, but then you also incorporated embroidery, a woven pattern into the handle, which is a really lovely technique. And you're actually able to complete 2 of those brooms in that 3-hour period. It's like $50. So we had people taking the class over and over. They're like, we're getting Christmas knocked out. So, I mean, can't go wrong. So that's really popular. And then The number 3 class was a new offering from John Dazzo, using slab ceramic technique to build mugs, but he also incorporated many new contemporary opportunities for design, which was very, very interesting, including bubbling and different rolling, different design, the traditional sgraffito, as well as ways to use different types of slip. So that was really interesting also. And then a couple of things that I wanted to point out. As far as Eventbrite and page visits, I looked at just the direct traffic, which is all of the marketing that was created outside of Eventbrite. So basically what that means is anybody that went to visitberea.com and clicked on Learn Shops, any social media, press releases, newspaper articles, our constant contact, email blasts, artist promotional efforts, posters, and word of mouth. That's those numbers. So 92% of traffic came from that, and 8% was just from the Eventbrite website, meaning people that were already signed up to receive those notifications or people that just fit their algorithm. So that's exciting that we're able to create that, and also, so much more we can do with that. So I wanted to give kudos to Becky. I know that she had a big part in that, so thank you. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the demographics for March and April combined. When you look at the attendees for the spring sessions, the highest concentration of attendees was an equal number split between Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky, those two cities. And then other cities in Kentucky included, and this is based on number of tickets sold ranked in order. Richmond, Mount Sterling, Versailles, Hazard, Lawrenceburg, Nicholasville, and Crab Orchard. And then from outside Kentucky, ranked in order by tickets sold, Johnson City, Tennessee, Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Sims, Alabama. So I thought that was very interesting. And then the tickets for our 12th annual Festival of Learn Shops will be on sale this Friday, May 10th at 5 p.m. We have people asking every day about that, so they can plan their trips, and those are going to actually be introduced in order by medium. So as those are coming out, they're going to be sectioned by different mediums. So fiber, glass, that kind of thing. A new approach that we're trying. And then October, I'll just touch really briefly on it. Working in a collaboration with Michelle Weston from Weston Glassblowing to do a potential 3-day weekend of mobile glassblowing studios, furnace, torch, cast, raku pottery, fire spinning, all kinds of things, metalsmithing, blacksmithing, anything we can do to incorporate a fire weekend, which we think would be really interesting. And then I have reached out to Logan because I know that he talked about doing a food truck weekend as well. So I thought if we could do food and fire. I have not come up with the perfect name yet. So if you see on here, I am still asking for name suggestions because, it has to be awesome. But if we can collaborate and do food and fire trucks, yeah. Yeah, food trucks and a fire weekend. I mean, I don't think you can beat that. So we're going to hopefully do that the last weekend in October, which would be the 25th through the 27th. And that should just be really big and really fun. And then Make It, Take It, Give It that is our holiday festival. It's not a festival. It's our holiday session of classes where every class that you take, you leave with a tangible item. That will be December 6th through 8th, theme to be determined. And then I'm not going to go over all the meetings that we attended. I do want to share one thing from our KTI training orientation in Frankfurt. One of the speakers that just spoke to me that really stood out is Kimberly Clay, and she is the Director of Cultural Heritage for Kentucky Tourism. I'm going to work with her to really continue to grow our traditional arts and crafts and Appalachian arts offerings, because it's so important. And as I've kind of worked and learned more about the history and the traditional crafts over the last year, I think that it's really important that I can learn as much as I can and then bring that to help develop the artists here in Berea to keep that alive. So I've already reached out to her and got to speak with her a little bit at our event, so looking forward to that as well. So much more, but I will stop. What other questions, or what questions does anyone have for me?
I got one. Do you
Yeah.
you have any local participation in your learn shops much? Or they're usually from out of town?
We
I
have
know they're usually from out of town, but how much local participation do you have in the learn shops?
about 6%.
Uh-huh. That's pretty good.
Usually more people from Richmond than Berea, but we do have some Berea people as well.
And not a question, but a statement, but you never can have too many fire trucks, so. you
I
should-
know, like we have to
you
have fire
should-
trucks too.
You should have
It's like-
food and fire trucks too, right? Should have
It's the
both.
perfect play on words.
That's right.
What about the teachers? You did that learn shop and the teachers came? Are you still, did we get to do that?
That is the
again?
KEDC. So, and it's actually grown into so many other things on my other list that I won't get into because I went over my 7 minutes on my timer here. But yes, KEDC, we worked with them September of 2023 through May 2024. Every single month we've had people in Berea, except for this month we went to Lexington, but every other month we've had people here, and it's grown every single year. So for May 18th, we already have 75 people signed up, and we're going to keep that open until the day of the event. So we're hoping for about 120 here on the 18th, and they'll stay the night at Boone Tavern the night before. Get ready. Thanks for asking about that.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
Appreciate it. Next up is our group tour planner, Emily Reynolds, and she's going to do a screen presentation for us.
All right, good afternoon, commissioners. So I'm just going to be talking about everything that we've kind of done in April with group tours. So on to the next. All right, so in the month of April, as you can see, we had 6 different tour groups come through. And those tours consisted of, we did a few step-on history tours, so driving through Berea, and then we also had some working artist tours, so we set up different rotating stations between our working artists down in the Artisan Village, and we got a lot of positive feedback from the tour groups regarding our artists. That's towards the end of my presentation. And we also had some private concerts for the tour groups after their supper at, I believe we had one dinner or maybe 2 at Boone Tavern and another at Dinner Bell Restaurant. And we also added a new artist to our list of motor coach music options. So if you know of any musicians that would like to be added, they can contact me and or Danny, but we did add a new artist to that list, and he already booked a tour for this month. He'll be performing for them, and his name is Chip Bailey. He is an Appalachian, specifically Appalachian musician, and he also storytells about the Appalachian region. He has taught at multiple different universities, if you don't know him. So he's very knowledgeable and a great addition. And then here are just some photos of those groups that we saw. So back to Donna's comment earlier, you can see the tables and chairs there in our lawn in front of the cabin are being used, and they are full, and a few people had to move over to the bench on the sidewalk. We had a few sitting on the cabin benches on the porch of the cabin and everything. So those tables do get quite a bit of use, and it would be beneficial, I think, to see a few more if possible. And so the top two photos were from the Cumberland Seed Commons group that we had. Donna spoke about it a little bit, the conference, and then I think Nancy also mentioned it as well. But those are some photos of their tours of the college farms, and they also toured the artisan village as well. I also had a lunch meeting with Susan Buckmaster, and she is the Retail Sales and Business Development Director of Berea College, and we kind of discussed different ideas that she has and how we can work together, continue to work together. And so she has some new ideas with her self-guided and audio and video tours there. Those are fairly new, but they have already been out for a little while now, but she's thinking about adding some new things to the mix. I won't share those ideas, as you know, they're her ideas and it would be for her to share, but we did discuss about that, so we're really excited. I'm sorry? Yes, that is the real phone number. You can call that number. And so how it works is, and I'll just move on to the next slide. So here's the full brochure, and all of the stops are numbered. If it is red, you can only hear audio, but if it's blue, you can hear audio and see a video with it. Then, yeah, well, I'll have to let Miss Buckmaster know, because that is the number that's on that brochure. So unless I made a typo on my previous slide. Anyway, good catch, Alex. Thank you. So no one call Alex, but yeah, so how it's supposed to work is if you call not necessarily that number, it takes you to almost like a robotic system. So when you're at stop 1, you would enter 1 on your keypad, and then the audio would play over the phone call. So that's really cool. Next is that we had 3 different days of school field trips. One day we had one group in the morning, one group in the afternoon, and then the other 2 days we had 2 classes come each morning. And so you've probably noticed my hat. Today in the city is, or this week, it's Public Service Appreciation Week, and today's Spirit Day was Hat Day. And so I chose to wear our hats, our little train conductor hats that we wear when we do welcome school field trips into the station. So how those field trips work are the kids come in and they learn about different types of transportation and how trains are the locomotive form of transportation. Then they pretend to buy train tickets to any destination that they want to go to, and then we'll rotate them to the back platform, and they'll draw with chalk their destinations that they would like to go to. And so here are some photos of that group, or of some groups that we had in this past April. So you can see Nancy discussing with the children about the different types of transportation, and you can see Stan there selling the ticket to a little lady. I believe she said she wanted to go to the beach. And then also you can see they do view our train village. That is a huge hit with the kids. They love that, and they love counting the working hand statues that's all over that. And then in the top right, you'll see, I just had to include it because I just think it is the cutest thing. There were a couple of little boys who, they didn't necessarily draw an out-of-town destination. They drew just a recreation of our train village that's in the Welcome Center. So super cute. And if you can kind of see on the right side of that picture, there's a little Godzilla about to come eat our town. And I have also been working on different flyers to distribute to different groups. This flyer that you're looking at was provided to Miranda Gooch with Boone Tavern. She saw a lot of tour groups come in and ask, like, if we stayed in Berea longer, what is there to do, or, different things like that. So we provided her with that flyer just so she can, hand that out, and it gives them my information, but also kind of tells them what Berea is about. So here's a better look at that flyer. So the front page to the left there, it's just a little synopsis about Berea, and then on the right side, there are 3 different categories. Of course, Berea has a lot more to offer than just art, music, and history, but with tour groups, that's usually the main things that are requested, so that's why it was included on this flyer. And so then you can see on the other part of the flyer, on the back side, the right side of the presentation there, it goes into depth of each category. So, for example, art admirers could come and see working artist tours, take hands-on classes, and they can also shop local artisan shops and Berea College student-made crafts. So. And back to our little positive stories that I shared at the beginning of the presentation. So on the far right there, you can see tour group guests. They do come up to us afterwards and let us know their likes and dislikes, but it is almost always positive, especially regarding our artists. They say that they are so well-spoken, and their positive attitudes and their little jokes they crack, and they get everyone involved in their demonstrations. They really love that and really enjoy themselves when they do those demonstrations. And for the school field trips, we had a school teacher, tell everybody thank you, and that they believe that our staff is so welcoming and so kind, and they love visiting us. And then Tiffany Wade from the Cabin of Old Town, she shared with me that a group of ladies visited their store, and they said they had to come to Berea because they had friends that had visited Berea on a tour bus and went back home and shared their lovely experience. So the tour bus groups, they really do get the word out for Berea, not even just to other tour groups and tour operators, but to just their friends and family. They tell them how much fun they had here. So people want to come visit, and I felt like that was a nice thing that I wanted to share with you guys. And that is all. Do we have any questions?
I would say thank you for showing your flyers and creating those for Boone Tavern. That's great. And for some of you, Lori, you haven't maybe noticed some of the new colors, but she did her flyers in her new sign color package with the aquas and the berries, and Danny designed the color story for us last year, I think. So great team job, but it was wonderful. Thank you for your report. It was
I
great.
don't have a question, Emily. I got a comment. We've talked about for some time developing self-guided tours for the town as well, besides the college. I think that's something we should continue to look into. We got so many historic type places in town that'd be of interest, and I think that would certainly draw a subgroup. There's been 2 or 3 other suggestions besides the historic building suggestions that people, we can talk about later, but people have put forth as certain groups would want to come to town to see that. So I think it's something we should consider ourselves. We've been talking off and on in these meetings and workshops about it for at least 3 years. So I think something to think about. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Very good.
Mr. West, to your comment there, and Emily, that is something that Ms. Buckmaster and I met over with Dr. Nixon several times discussing. And the tour piece of that we're looking at right now would include the collaboration between tourism and the college on these self-guided tours. And there were four or five different categories of that we want to do the tour piece.
Yeah, I'd be
with.
interested to talk to you about those categories.
We're excited
I've
about
heard
that
some
partnership.
interesting input on that. You're talking about people talking about good to see. I ran into a longtime resident of the city at the lumberyard this week. That was a classmate of mine, so we've been here a long time, and he was very complimentary of all the work that tourism that he sees you all doing around town, and said to thank everybody on the town's behalf. So I told him I'd pass that along to you. So
Well, thank you.
it does get noticed. Our next person up is our media manager report by Becky Hurt.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm going to kind of do half and half. I'm going to go through my written report for you all very briefly, but then I also have some numbers from RPM that I would like to share with you all. Thank you, Nancy. As the others have said, April was a busy month, all good things. Something I always include on my report for you all is the businesses that I visited. This is just for me to connect with the merchants and get new content for social media and just kind of see what is going on in town. On the media projects that I've completed, you all can view those, but I will just hit on a few. Thanks, Nancy. As Nancy mentioned, we have L&N Day coming up, so you all will see I placed an L&N Day rack card at your seat, and we do have posters available here today. If anyone would like to take one and hang it up at their business, that would be wonderful. We've got some other events going on in the city that same day, the L&N Day Car Show, as well as the Summer Solstice Craft Festival. So we have those available. I also created a summer checklist. This is just a fun little tool. People can actually check off these events as the summer goes on. We created these for our part-time staff to hand out at Summerfest, but this is also just going to be a great thing to keep on hand for summer in general. At the back of your packet, you will see a few ads. The first one is a 4th page June Kentucky Monthly ad. That is a co-op ad, meaning they kind of determine the layout and we just provide the information. So they keep the layout the same for each ad. And then the other ad you'll see is a 4-page spread, which is awesome, in the Grant County News. So the first page is an actual ad. You can see we're going with the aquas for summertime. And then that is a 3-page editorial that I wrote highlighting the outdoors, arts and crafts, and dining. So you all can read that at your leisure if you'd like. You can review my upcoming projects there, of course, working with RPM on our upcoming ads. I would like to update Berea's info on the state tourism page. Emily and Nancy and I have talked about updating the motor coach page on our website, so lots of good upcoming projects. Monthly highlights, we did have our content shooting day with RPM on April 15th. That was a jam-packed day, lots of good content. We're very excited to get the updated photos and videos and drone shots. You know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, so that's why it is so important for us to have a visual representation to show potential visitors through advertising. So if a picture is worth 1,000 words, I don't know how much a video or a drone shot is worth. More, I guess. Moving on to social media. Again, I've got plenty of numbers from RPM that we'll hit on, so I will review this quickly, but we have increased our reach and our followers. We should be on track to hit 16,000 followers next month on Facebook, so that is exciting. For Constant Contact, that is our newsletter. I believe all of you receive our newsletter. If you don't, let me know. That we have started just doing a monthly newsletter, and then on Facebook I am now at the beginning of the week posting a list of the events going on in town. So I think that's a great resource for the community. Everyone can share it. It's all in one spot. They know they can receive that on Monday or Tuesday at the beginning of the week. If anyone has any events, you can go on our website and submit an event. You can also email me, becky@visitberea.com, if you have any questions about that. I'm going to get this slide presentation going. Okay, so this first slide is a slide from me. The rest of the presentation is what RPM shared with me. But I wanted to put this up there for last month so that you all could see our reach breakdown. Again, this is just the number of people who our content is presented to. So as you can see for Facebook, of that 462,000, almost 463,000, the portion of that from ads is huge. The same for Instagram. So that shows you all how much our paid advertising increases our reach on social media. So I wanted to include that in there. Okay, RPM, again, sent me some numbers. This is from July through December of last year. Just as we are heading into this busy advertising season, I wanted to report on some of the results of that. Oh, wrong direction. This is very tiny, I know. This is just their media plan. I realize it's very hard to see, but we will get deeper into that in further slides. But it's basically just saying what ads we are running and when, and the circulation. So I'm just skipping through those two. Okay. This is for our YouTube advertising. These are non-skippable ads before the user's selected video. So you can see here the planned impressions were 500,000 and the delivered impressions were over 720,000 with a video completion rate of 97.57 when the benchmark is 70%. So that's really good. I know we all get those ads when we're on YouTube, so that is what that is. Connected TV. The results from that is going to be any TV that connects to the internet and any devices as well that connect to streaming services. So the planned impressions for that was 650,000 and it delivered over 1 million impressions. You can also see our impressions by region: Cincinnati, Lexington, and Louisville. That's the nice thing about digital advertising. You can pick who you want to target, where they are. We'll get into the demographics of that in just a second. So to hit on the device ID targeting digital display, by the way, I failed to mention, I handed you all a key. It's printed in black and white, looks like this, of any terminology that you all can reference while I'm speaking. I know a lot of different terms get thrown out there. So for the device ID targeting, we had 692,000 impressions over that. And these are the areas of those people. So this is when they are targeting people's devices, and that's going to give us data on our demographic, basically. So in this next slide here, you can see the general demographic data for our visitors. They've got ethnicity, education, age, and income here. This is very beneficial whenever we are creating content and deciding what advertising should be placed. For our digital display retargeting ads, this is going to be display banner ads that are presented to people who have visited our website and then gone elsewhere online. So this is an effort to bring people back to Berea's website or visit Berea's website, so that is a great tool as well. These are our social media campaigns here. Again, this is from last year. We're doing similar this year with the arts, outdoors, and dining theme. I know that this is hard to see as well, but just to rattle off a few here. The most popular or most successful campaign for Lexington was dining. The most successful for Louisville was art. Cincinnati was art. Indianapolis was art, and then for Lansing, Michigan, dining had the most impressions, but art had the most clicks. And then this shows you a little bit about our circulation for our print advertising. So these are some of the magazines that we worked with last year and that we're working with some of them as well again this year. So this is going to be the copies distributed for each issue. Again, wonderful to get Berea in front of that many eyes. That shows you there how many copies are going out to people that they're receiving in their mailbox. Berea is a wonderful place to visit. And advertising is what allows people near and far to learn about a place such as our town. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Questions? I have one.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back to the first slide, you had your planned,
Uh-huh.
and then you had your actual, which is really good. But where's that planned number come from? How did they decide that when they started their program?
Do you mean the very beginning?
No, let's go one more. There you go. No, that's not it.
Well, it's the planned impressions.
Delivered impressions, and those numbers are very good. Both of them were. They got planned great too. But how they determine what their planned, how they set their goals?
That is a great
And
question.
next year's set is, so is their next year planned like 720,000 now? Do we take last year's number and make it next year's plan? I mean, how are we setting our goals to?
That is a great question. I can.
Definitely doing better than our goal, how we get to.
Yes,
go.
yes. I don't know if they go off of. Okay. It's Danny just chimed in that it is the average of comparable markets, and that's what I was going to say. I would hope that they would look at now that we've worked with them for a few years. I would hope they would look at our previous years as well as similar markets as well.
So that's how so part of this then is at least how we're doing comparable to other people like us,
Like similar in size and that type of thing,
which is
and demographic.
which is 50% better. Almost sounds like. Wow, that's impressive.
And the great thing here is the completion rate too, that they completed the video.
That's a crazy good crazy
One
good
thing
numbers.
that they do also that is really good for all of us to follow is sometimes we will take a chance on a magazine that we're not familiar with in a different region, but the tracking on that is impeccable, that the numbers that they give back to us, which helps us to determine, are we drawing anything in for Learn Shop classes from that? Did we get a jewelry shop that got visited here? But they're doing a lot of different pings on credit cards and zip codes, cell phones. So they're really trying to help us hone in on whom our sister cities around us are coming to, or sister states that are coming into Berea, Kentucky as well. So they're always guiding us. We won't go here again. We did here. Really, we don't have weak markets that we have chosen in the last 3 years that we've flushed out. they have grown as we have grown by adding more marketing and advertising in those magazines and becoming more consistent for the people to look at. So that's taught us a lot about who our client is that's coming here. So, but good tracking.
Anything else?
Thank
from
you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Okay, that brings us to public comments. Do we have any public comments today? And none. So, commissioner comments, we'll start with Laura. Do you have anything? She's talked out. That's rare. Write that down. We've talked Laura out. You don't see that much. Will?
I just want to say, it's really great seeing like the events down at the train depot, really embracing our history, and having worked down there, it's really great to see those things. And I just want to say good job, and been seeing a lot of ads going around and all the events going on. It's really exciting for our city. Great work, y'all.
All right.
I do have a little bit of an announcement. Donna already knows this. I have accepted a position at EKU that I'm going to be starting next week, which means I will no longer be at Boone Tavern full time. I have volunteered to kind of stick around part time to help them out for a little while, which means this will be my last tourism meeting. I've been on here for about a year now, almost the whole last year. I've learned a lot just from Donna and the other commissioners, and I think we have a really good team here. It makes me excited for everything that's happening in Berea. I know talking with Laura, she's wonderful. Will's been great so far. Bill, right? Bill.
Rufus.
Shelly and Alex, I know Alex is new, but I've met Alex a few times through Boone Tavern. So, I appreciate the chance to serve. I know the mayor was great in giving me this opportunity, as well as Donna. So,
Shelley?
Congratulations, Aaron, but we will miss you. I'll miss you too. So, and thanks to the ladies for always doing a great job.
Thank you, everyone. Also, I will say this material is looking great. I've been seeing a lot more advertisements and just overall the organization of what's going on in Berea, so it's really good to see. I feel like there's almost too much going on. Not really, but there is a lot that a lot of people in different niches will find very enjoyable in our town. So it's super, super awesome to see. Something I just wanted to I guess bring up as a comment was we had talked about just like going along with the standalone tour. Is there any update, or are we figuring out bringing together all the different map and trail system situation going on? Does that make, excuse my language here, bringing it all into one, because they're all different separate maps and things. So just like the audio tour, how can we bring those together? I think we had talked about that in the budget meeting.
You want a map created with all trails on one map? Is that what you're asking?
Essentially, yeah, everything's too spaced out, and so especially as we're ramping up with all these different things, how can people commute and get to all these?
We can do that. That's not a problem. You can take all the different maps and we can combine them on one. Is that correct, what you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
We
super
can-
needed.
Maybe not for June, but we can start working on that, yes,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, other than that, let's keep rocking.
And you just send us everything so that we have something to back up of all the maps that you want to put on there, all the trails that you want identified, you know, so that we can.
Gotcha.
We probably have them already somewhere, because we've made so many. We did the Silver Creek map and Boone Trace map, so we have a lot already, but we can combine them on one map. Very good. And you want to share, Alex, about your event coming up soon?
Yeah, absolutely, actually. So May 18th, there's actually quite a bit going on. So we are having a Summer Fest, something that we're trying to get going annually, which is just a summer kickoff, completely free event that a lot of nonprofits and organizations are going to be kind of demonstrating and also informing people on what there is to do throughout the summer. There'll be all kinds of different organizations. We'll have live music. We'll have free bike rides, all kinds of different outdoor games, and then obviously the Pinnacles is there. This is also with Peacecraft and the Forestry Outreach Center. And so they're going to be doing a morning hike. We're going to be doing a morning bike ride. There'll be a picnic and then live music as well. So
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you.
I just want to take a moment and thank Aaron for his contribution to our group. As I said earlier, it takes a lot of dedication, commitment, and time to really have a passion about tourism and understanding it and growing with it as it grows. So I've known Aaron for, I won't say how many years, but he has been a real asset and attribute to Berea as a whole. There's never been a Boone Tavern event that hasn't been spectacular that he's been in charge of, and I know the tavern will miss you greatly, but we will miss you too, and we're very appreciative of all the time and the service that you've given to us, mixing it in with your personal life, your family, and business, and everything else. So we wish you the best at EKU. I am mad at you, so I'll get over that in time, but not right away. But we wish you well, and thank you for your time with us.
She is a powder, so she is a powder. And for those you don't know, Aaron is a very talented photographer as well. So we got a lot of talent in this town. It's amazing how much talent's in this town. I just want to comment that one of the things I love about tourism that I've seen is how much we're doing for the kids. You know, they're not really tourists, but you always see them involved in things, the gala and Grove Station. I think it's very special. And anybody else got anything? Not, we're going to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
We got a motion second. Is any opposed? If Don don't call for a roll call, we will we'll adjourn by unanimous consent. Thank you. Bye-bye. Aaron, is there any chance I can get